Angie from Wish Upon a Style, and some of you may already know that here at Wish Upon a Style we are event planners and Tablescape Stylists. So if you're entertaining at home, we provide a Tablescape hire service for you, and I'm often sharing tablescapes that I've created. And recently I've been showing how I've been incorporating pumpkins into my centrepieces. So it's become a little bit of an obsession with me, actually. Before Halloween, of course, pumpkins were in all the supermarkets, weren't they? All manner of sizes. But what caught my eye were those tiny munchkin pumpkins. And so I actually bought quite a few of those and started decorating them. And as they were just costing me 39p, I thought, well, I'll have a go and see if I can actually use some of them, not necessarily for Halloween. I did actually create a kind of shabby chic Halloween party, but I'm not really into anything very scary, and you know, I'm going to leave the witches and the ghosts and the spiders' webs to other stylists, just concentrate on the type of tablescape that we're kind of known for. And so I started decorating these little pumpkins, and it caught a lot of people's attention, I'm pleased to say, and also prompted a few comments. Now, a couple of the comments actually said, well, you know, we'd like to actually know how to make them ourselves, and you know, how do you do it? And that got me thinking that actually this is really a good idea, because it's all really to do with one hobby that I've had for a couple of years, and that is decoupaging. And I find it very relaxing, very therapeutic, but of course in my line of work it comes in very handy, because I can actually handcraft some of our own items or decor and incorporate those into our centerpieces. So if you know, I can't find something that I need that will go with our tableware, for instance, I can simply make something ourselves and fit that in, and that's what I absolutely love doing. But it also occurred to me that maybe some of you don't want to actually hire a tablescape from us. Maybe you'd love to have a go and start creating things yourself that would go with your own china and silverware, you know, whatever, glasses, whatever tableware you have. And so what I've done, I've put together a video showing you how I've created some just colourful pumpkins. They're actually kind of decoupage pumpkins, and I'll just show you this one here because it's going to feature in the video that's coming next. So if you stay with me, you'll see how I made this from start to finish. And if you're thinking, well, you know, that's obviously a real pumpkin, actually the reason I like it because it is rather misshapen, but then of course it's going to look very real and authentic, because pumpkins of course aren't always a perfect shape. So I will show you how I created this one. And if you're also thinking, well, you know, why would I go to all the trouble of doing this? It's a piece of fruit, it's going to rot, it's not really going to last for very long. Well, you'd be wrong, because I will show you that you can actually preserve fruit, not just pumpkins. I've been doing it with apples. This one, in fact, I haven't finished decorating. I'm going to decorate this next. It is actually from September. It was part of a centrepiece I was using for Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and it's absolutely fine. And I'm going to be using this at Hanukkah, but also at Christmas as well. So yeah, it'll last about 3 or 4 months if you know how to preserve your fruit. I've also got a pomegranate, by the way, but it's not here on the table, so I'll show you that another time as well. That's also going to come into play again. So just very, very simply, the reason most fruit will rot is that, especially if you start slicing it, and you know how it turns very brown, you have to put lemon juice on to whiten the flesh again. Well, if you don't cut your pumpkins or your apples or whatever fruit you're using, if you don't cut it or slice it at all, then obviously it's going to last longer for a start. But also, if you clean the fruit and then soak it in a solution of bleach diluted with water for about half an hour, 40 minutes, then that is going to prolong the life of your fruit as well. And I would say that each piece of fruit that you decorate will last about at least 2 or 3 months. So I think it's still worth doing, because after that you might get fed up, you might want to start something else, and that's something I'm always doing. So I just wanted to give you an idea of, at the moment I'm just going to show you decoupaging, in this video and also some of the items that are on the table, we do obviously very different techniques as well, not just decoupaging. There's lots of other things we do, and that gave me the idea that I would actually do an online course for anyone who's interested, and it'll be kind of an interactive course, so we'll work together. And I just thought it might be a nice idea for someone who would like to be a bit more creative, and of course if you'd like to create some beautiful tablescapes yourself at home with your own tableware. But I can show you how to create some lovely centerpieces. Not only that, of course, I can also show you a way that you can perhaps enhance your tableware to make that look stunning as well. So lots of things. I'm really excited about this, and something else I'm excited about as well. Another idea, as well as doing some online workshops, because we do have some people watching us, I know, from not just the UK but outside the UK as well, especially in the States. And so that's really why I wanted to do the online workshops. But a bit nearer to home, I'm actually based in Essex, so Essex and the home counties. And if you would like to have perhaps a party at home, either for your friends or even a children's party, then I'm thinking that we could come along and do a little workshop, and everybody can then create something. We bring everything with us, create something really, really lovely, and have something to take home with them. So that's actually another thought as well. And on top of that, we're also going to be doing some afternoon teas ourselves, which will be, I think I'm going to be calling them something like crafternoon teas, because we're going to be serving a delicious English afternoon tea, and you'll have a chance also to create some beautiful items as well for centerpieces. So that's all coming very soon. If you are interested, by the way, please go on our email waiting list. I'm going to put the link below, and just send a very short email just saying yes, you'd like to go on the email list, and then you will be the first to know once all these events happen. So I'm going to show you that video in a moment. I'll just quickly go to the table and show you what I have been doing recently, because it's not just pumpkins, of course, I've been decoupaging. I actually started with wine glasses. Now, the wine glasses, they're just really inexpensive clear wine glasses that were, I think, £1.25. That's all they were, and I've painted them, decoupaged them, and what I have been using them for actually is for matching paper serviettes, which I've put in, which are always good to have on the table, as well as your cloth napkins. The other thing I've been doing, of course, is using a food safety finish, and so they're completely safe to actually drink from if you wanted to use them for wine glasses. So that's just one idea. What I've actually done to go with the wine glasses as well, as part of our tableware collection, is to create really special chargers. So this is how I bought actually a job lot of chargers. Let me just show you them. So just a cheap common or garden charger, and they were very inexpensive as well. Excuse me a second. And just give you an idea. And what I've done is to decoupage them to actually match our china. So here's one which is patched, you might have seen, it's part of our chinoiserie collection, and I'm going to be doing a tutorial on chinoiserie and the history of it and why I love it so much. That's going to be coming in the next week or so, so I hope you'll join me for that. So that's the first one I've done, and actually you'll see that will go with this. So that's actually quite a pretty table, and I've already posted something similar to this on Instagram and on our Facebook group as well. So that's that one. And then just another one that I've done, which is this one here, which is actually it's similar. It's a take on a particular China pottery company, and it's part of the kind of a Denmark blue collection. And the reason I did this was that I had this particular tea set, which I thought was very pretty, and I just wanted to make sure that I had something to go with this. So as well as the chargers, you can see, let's put that down for a moment, I've also done the pumpkins. So these are kind of chinoiserie pumpkins, And here's my favourite one. This one I actually put fairy lights in, and it looks so pretty on the table as well. And you can see that I've also created a candlestick as well. So, I should show you actually. That really was a plain candlestick. I think it cost me all of £8, and so I've managed to decoupage that as well. And then, just to show you how versatile decoupage can be, what I've also done, I have this beautiful tea set as well. It's Burley Asiatic, and I love this. And I did actually think originally, oh, well, I'll do all this and it will go. And I don't really think it does. So what I did is to actually put a different finish on this one. It's a kind of pearlized finish. And now I think it goes perfectly, so I'm going to be doing a setting using this as well. And there's the coffee pot that goes with it. So I'll just put that down for one moment now. So that's really what I wanted to say to you today. I think that's probably about it. And so if you'd like to try your hand at decoupaging, then please stay with me, because my step-by-step tutorial on decoupaging is coming next. But finally, just one thing I wanted to mention. You know, we don't just style tables, we also provide room settings as well for special occasions. So that would include things like backdrops. We have frames that go over tables where we can hang garlands and greenery and flowers and even fairy lights. And also for themed events, then we have props as well that we hire out. So there's one prop that I'm going to be working on in the next couple of weeks, and I just thought I'd give you just a sneak preview of that. And here it is. I'm really excited about this one. So it's just actually a real violin. I've just removed the strings and the bits and bobs that go on it, just to make it easier, obviously, to paint. Bits and bobs. My son would be quite upset with me for that, as he's a musician, but you know, the things that go on the violin. So it's had a couple of coats, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to decoupage this. It's going to be a very shabby chic looking violin, which I think will be perfect for perhaps a vintage afternoon tea. So that's going to be available to hire soon as well as our beautiful bone china. So that's really what I wanted to say for now. Please stay watching, and yes, if you would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then I would be really pleased, because then you'll be notified each time we upload a video. You won't miss anything. And that's really what I wanted to say for today. Thank you so much for your company, and hope to see you again soon. Here are my bargain Munchkin pumpkins, and it's time to get started. Now, most importantly, as we're using here a real pumpkin, it's important to be able to preserve it. So what we need to do is firstly wash it to get rid of any mud or dirt, and then we're going to just soak it for about 30-40 minutes in a solution of bleach and water, and that will preserve it, provided, of course, that you don't pierce the skin or cut it or slice it in any way, because that's where it starts to rot. But by doing this, it will actually last for months and months. And the first step, of course, is to put some kind of first coat, a primer on, and I'm using gesso, which I always use for decoupaging. And this, although it doesn't give a really good coverage, what it does do is give you a lovely smooth surface for the paint to go on and to adhere to. By the way, please do excuse the bright green surgical gloves, but this is such a messy job, and I've just had a manicure. So the gesso primer is completely dry, and I'm ready for the second step. For this project, I'm using Deco Cream. It's an acrylic paint that has been especially formulated for decoupaging, but you can use any kind of acrylic paint or even a chalk paint. The most important thing, of course, is to choose a colour that matches the background of the paper napkin or decoupage paper that you're using, so that when you put the image on, it will blend seamlessly onto the item. By the way, if you would like to use some of the products that I'm mentioning during this tutorial, then please let me know in the comments and I'll make sure that I leave the links for each and every one of them. I was considering speeding up this part of the video. After all, there's nothing more boring, is there, than watching paint dry, but I think showing you what I'm doing actually in real time might help someone, so that's what I decided to do. If you're wondering what the apples are doing there, well, that's a project for another time. I've chosen these really pretty napkins and I'm going to combine them with some decoupage paper. If you haven't used a decoupage paper before, I would say it's similar to the tracing paper we all used to use at school, only a lot tougher. Paper napkins are either 2 or 3 ply, so you only need, of course, the top layer, which is the layer with the image on, so you'll need to remove the white layers, and that's quite fiddly to do sometimes. If you do find it difficult, then just try either wetting your fingers slightly or putting some sellotape or masking tape on the bottom layer, and that will pull away a lot more easily. The next step is to cut out the images that you're going to be using. Now, I always prefer to have a frayed edge. I just find that it blends in more easily. So what I'm doing here is just using a fine artist brush dipped in water and very, very carefully just tearing away the edges. Now, of course, this single layer of napkin is very, very delicate, so you need to be very careful at this stage. I'm using a dinner size napkin purely because it has the colour and the pattern for the shabby chic look that I want to achieve, but normally I would save dinner napkins for larger projects, and for something small like this it's probably easier to work with a cocktail size napkin. And I now have all the pieces ready that I need for the next step. I have several techniques that I use for decoupaging, so I'll share a couple of them with you now. So just putting all my pieces together, and I'm going to be using a brush and a couple of sponges for this. For those of you that do lots of crafting, then I'm sure you're familiar with Mod Podge. It's the most popular glue to use, but for decoupaging, I always use decoupage medium. I just find it's thinner than Mod Podge. It has the glue, sealant and finish all in one, so it just makes life a bit easier. Before I start gluing, I've already placed some of the paper onto the pumpkin to give me an idea of how it's going to look. I find it best to start with gluing just a small area, and then you can place the piece of napkin or decoupage paper on top of that and then press it down either with a brush or, as I'm using here, a sponge. And for this pumpkin, just make sure that you get into the groove there as well. And then you can work your way along and start gluing the next part, as I'm doing here. And with a residue of glue still on your brush, you can then go over the piece of paper. And if you don't want to do it at this stage, you can always glue over the images once you've finished. There is another technique I use, usually when decoupaging larger items, and that is to use cling film or saran wrap. And as you can see here, just hold it tautly on top of the image, give it a good tap or press down, and then just remove it. And you should find that the image is adhered quite nicely to the item that you're decoupaging. You know, when I took up decoupaging as a hobby, several years ago now, I started by watching some YouTube tutorials, but I found a lot of them, they were really speeded up, or they seemed to miss out a few points, or I had lots of questions that needed answering. So it was a little bit frustrating. So I decided to take a couple of courses. And you know, they were invaluable. Not only was it helpful to actually have a tutor there answering any questions or showing me where I was going wrong, but also it was really nice to be with others learning at the same time. And I'm hoping that my experience, well, might benefit others. So I've got some exciting plans. I've decided that I'm going to hold some online courses for not just decoupaging, but for creating all kinds of decor for table centerpieces. As some of you may know, we specialise in providing a Tablescape hire setup and style service, and most of the centerpieces that we create have something that we've actually handcrafted ourselves. If you would like to know a little bit more about these online courses, when they're going to start and what's included and what they involve, then please join our email list, and I will leave my email address in the description here as well. If you prefer, of course, you can just send me a message or put a message in the comments that you'd like to know a little bit more, and I can get in touch with you that way. I wasn't intending for this to be a decoupage tutorial, and the reason that I took up decoupaging several years ago was really because when we were creating our tablescapes, we couldn't always find the decor we wanted for our centerpieces. Either we just couldn't find the colour or the item that would complement our china and our silverware and cutlery, or if we did find what we were looking for, well, 9 times out of 10, it would be so expensive. And bearing in mind, of course, that we hire out our tablescapes, if something did get damaged or broken, then it could be quite difficult to replace. And this is what prompted us to start creating our own table decor. And decoupaging has now, for me, become such a lovely hobby. You know, it's so relaxing and therapeutic too. I haven't decided on the finish for this pumpkin yet, but there are so many different finishes. You know, you can use kind of a pearlized shimmer or a glitter or a sparkle, or even embellish it. That's something I do quite a lot with, you know, tiny pearls or crystals. Now that the pumpkin is finished, it's time to put a final sealant on. So I'll be using that decoupage medium, but you could use a clear sealer, and that could be either matte, satin, or even a high gloss. Whatever finish you prefer is the one to use. And for now at least, I'll just hang a little charm around the stem.